And I'm Anurag, your host, with my new guest, Elizabeth Osborne from Great Lakes Credit Union. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello, Anurag. How are you?
Doing good after a long travel. We were talking about a long travel I had yesterday for 9.5 hours. So,
Oh,
interestingly, good.
very good.
I just also want to let all my, viewers know that this is the first podcast that I'm doing sitting out of a credit union. So I'm at ABNB Credit Union right now here in Chesapeake, Virginia. Shout out to Lisa. Lisa's friend. She helped me get this conference through in the first place to make this happen. So thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Elizabeth, again to make your time to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank
I'll
you. It's an
quickly go
honor to
and
join.
absolutely, it's an honor for us. Absolutely. Now, since all of you know that that I speak a lot, so I usually do introductions of my guests. So it's not much different for Elizabeth. Let me do a quick introduction. But yeah, again, long intro alert. This is a long intro again. You have to listen to a lot of things. Firstly, who is Elizabeth? Elizabeth is the CEO of Great Lakes Credit Union. She's based out of Chicago, a city that I love. Her background has been she's been an accomplished operations and technology leader with a solid background in credit unions and the banking ecosystem. Right. Uh, Before she joined Great Lakes, she had a bunch of prominent roles. Right, being a CIO to being a pivotal part in an M&A for a regional bank. So she comes from a mixture of both the worlds, banking as well as credit unions. She appreciates both the worlds and understands how the ecosystem runs really well. Right. One feather on the cap for which I was waiting to introduce her, which I'm very proud about her, is she was recently recognized by American Banker as one of the most powerful women in credit unions. So a slow clap for that, Elizabeth, before going anywhere else. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Great. I don't know if I've done justice, but I tried my best after a 9 hour long journey to do a quick introduction for you. It was not quick. Sorry about that, but please feel free to add anything if I've missed out.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. I will say just one item is that I actually started in banking early on. It started at State Street. So State Street Corp is based out of Boston, and I was a business analyst and a project manager. So that was a really cool experience because it just opened my eyes to a variety of things, different cultures, virtual workers, just I got to travel a little bit globally. So it was a great opportunity. So that's what really got me into banking, and I was like, this is where I want to be.
Absolutely. I think the first stint is very important. For me, it was like I joined Accenture Consulting fresh after my engineering, and that also helped me a lot. So, yeah, the first journeys are the most important bets that you take, and that actually worked out for you. Not everyone comes to the list of American bankers' top most influential credit union women, right? So, that really worked out for you. So, with your diverse experience, Elizabeth, right, I'll start with one specific question that I love asking everyone, not different for you also. So, what has been your journey so far?
Yeah, so I would say, it's definitely it's been quite the journey over the years, and working in the banking and credit union industry, and also as a mom. I have two little kids, and so trying to juggle all of that during my adult life. I was very fortunate to focus on my career early on. So, like I mentioned, starting at State Street right out of college, and actually before all that, I actually came from the restaurant industry. Not a lot of people know that. I oversaw operations training for Uno Restaurant Corp. So I traveled all around the country. I helped open over 60 restaurants, but
Wow.
in that role, I partnered with franchisees and really helped them because, as you all know, restaurants are a tough industry. And
Yep.
what is it? I think 7 out of 10 restaurants fail in the first 5 years because you have a lot of people that join it because their dream's always been to open a restaurant, but it's a
Yep.
lot harder than it looks, and the margins are super slim. So I helped franchisees in that, but that time in the restaurant industry taught me so much because it taught me how to influence and motivate those that are in a high stress situation. So diffusing that stress was important, but also gaining the trust to help them really establish solid footing to run a good business. So that helped me at State Street. But after State Street, I had that opportunity to join Belmont Savings Bank. It's in the Boston area, or it was. It's no longer exists, unfortunately, but they were bought out. But I was given an opportunity to join a community savings bank, that Belmont Community Savings Bank, and that was moving from a multi-trillion-dollar organization to, at the time, I think it was around 800 million, was a vast difference. Everyone who works there, and so that helped me learn how to just build relationships differently. It was more in person versus virtual. State Street's so large, you're kind of like a number. It was a good company, but it's just so big. There were over 20,000 employees just in the state of Massachusetts. So very different moving to a 200-person employee bank and learning from there. But took a lot from that role, learned about how to manage vendors. So I applied a lot about the franchisees into that role, and I was able to apply a lot from technology too, because my background is also technology, and pretty quickly moved into that CIO position. And so that was exciting, opened up my eyes to, I actually attended a CIO boot camp. That was cool because they taught me all about the regs and everything that you're responsible for, which made me question, do I really want to do this? But I do. So that was quite the journey. So, and then during that time, I met my husband. We got married and had our first child, and then after that, the pandemic hit. This is actually when I joined the regional bank, and I was part of their M&A team. They were very active acquirers, and it was People's United Bank, and I was pregnant with my pandemic daughter. And so that was made us rethink where we live. And Boston's very expensive. I love living there, but we're kind of priced out. And so then we decided, hey, why don't we move to where my family is, my immediate family, which is Chicago, and better cost of living, and we're able to get a bigger home, and daycare costs were a bit lower. And so we made the move, and it was actually after we already put an offer in at a house that a recruiter called me about this job. I wasn't looking. I was very happy with what I was doing. And I was like, credit unions? I don't know about credit unions. They always seem kind of slow, and I don't know if this would be the right role for me. And the recruiter's like, no, trust me. That is not the case with Great Lakes Credit Union. Steve Bugg's a newer CEO. He's very innovative, driven. He's building a new team. So I decided to continue and interview with them, and quickly realized this was the company I wanted to join. Steve was the kind of leader I could really learn a lot from. And so that was about 3 years ago, and I've been here since. So very exciting. I made the right move, I will say that.
That I can definitely see, right? I mean, without the right move, this wouldn't have happened. Let me be candid, right? I mean, I have an experience of around 9 years. I tell people that I've changed 5 roles in 9 years, right? Literally, I change roles every 2 years because I get tired. After talking to you, I'm like, okay, let me take a break. First, she started with running operations, setting up operations for restaurants, going, to a smaller bank, going to State Street, now at a credit union, now plus. So, I mean, it's very, rare to find this experience of operations, technology, and M&A. These 3 are pillars, right? It's very difficult to find this combination. I mean, I'm a technologist myself, and it becomes really difficult for technology people to understand or rather, appreciate M&As for sure, right? But you did that, so that's a huge respect. I think viewers should get motivated by looking at your career trajectory. I mean, this is not only for the credit union audience or the community banking audience, but for people who are not within the ecosystem of community FIs, right? If Elizabeth can go and do that move from State Street to finally joining a regional bank, M&A followed by credit unions, definitely there's a lot of potential in this ecosystem. We can all think of moving to credit unions and getting this movement ahead, right? I mean, it's a myth that credit unions are slow. Definitely not, right? I mean, talking about your credit union, talking about the credit union, I mean the credit union where I sit today for this podcast, you guys are fast. That's the reason we are friends. But yeah, so this is really inspiring, right? Now, being a women leader, right, across these number of years, it's not easy, right? I mean, having a kid, a full-fledged a married life, to your career, plus managing a huge team across, right? So what has been your leadership style, and what is the basic philosophy or tenet, Elizabeth, that you have while leading a team? Maybe I would want to ask you that.
Sure. Yeah, so I'd say in terms of leadership style, very transformative. So I'm constantly looking for ways that we can improve, find more efficiencies. But to do that, you really have to listen to your team. So I am so fortunate to have a group of individuals reporting to me that are driven and excited and really want to work hard and are dedicated to Great Lakes Credit Union and the credit union movement. So improving our communities, bringing financial literacy to the underserved. We are all very motivated by that, and so we have the right people in the right roles to do that, which has helped quite a bit. And so I try very hard every day to really just continue to motivate my team, because it's a challenge. When Steve Bugg took over this CEO of Great Lakes, Great Lakes was not very innovative before he joined, and so the architecture, anything from networking to solutions were significantly behind, and so it's been really challenging to play catch up. Right? You have to invest in technologies, invest in people, yes, et cetera, but at the same time, really be competitive, because there's so much happening in the credit union space with fintechs, neobanks, other banks, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So trying to juggle all that means that the teams are working really hard. They are, this is not a job where you kind of come in and you're like, oh, I wonder what I'll do today, and I'll take a look at this. No, we are in a ton of meetings, we have tight deadlines, execution is key, but because we have the right people that are excited to do that and want to work hard, we're able to accomplish so much. So then it's about celebrating those successes. So making sure that I'm recognizing my team as much as possible, giving them opportunities to network and join events. I'm trying to do parties and bring people together just to really show that appreciation is key. And I find that is what really has motivated my team. So that is really important. But if I didn't listen to them, I would not be successful. So the listening and really taking into account their thoughts and perspectives and using that to drive decisions is really what I consider a key to a strong leader. If you don't listen to your team and you're not just listening, but also then applying the feedback that you're getting, you're not going to go very far.
Absolutely right. I mean, couple of challenges, right? Firstly, competing against the Chimes of the world, the Revoluts of the world. It's not easy competing against the big boys and girls in Wall Street. It's a daunting task, I know, but yeah, I'm glad that with a new outlook that you have right now, and a renewed outlook for Great Lakes, you guys are doing amazing, and having leaders like you, definitely there's a strong path that I see for the credit union for sure. And thank you for whatever you're doing for your folks. I hear a lot about you, by the way. Outside This
Oh,
podcast, let me
thanks.
tell everyone, I hear a lot of good things about Elizabeth, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to you.
Oh, thanks.
Very honestly, absolutely, absolutely. Great. So,
Thank
I
you.
mean, one quick reference. I mean, I would also want to talk about my boss. So my boss is Vikas Sharma. He's based out of New York. Amazing guy. He does the same thing, right? Supports his team a lot. Gives you a lot of headspace to go experiment, fail, but do what is right, right? I mean, before taking up this role for me, very similarly, we used to work with a bunch of credit unions, but uh, I didn't know what to do. I was literally 1 year before this. I was new to the ecosystem. I didn't know a single person within credit unions, right? But today, at least, with his support, right, that because of he trusted in me, that Anurag, go and talk to people, go and see, go and solve problems, right? I mean, with the only intention that we do not sell, we go and solve problems, right? So I've been able to at least know people like you. We are having this candid chat, right? So I thought of also mentioning about him, and thanks to Vikas. Uh, cool.
That's great.
Now, obviously, this is transformational about your leadership, right? A lot of, I would say, friends and partners I meet every day are very young female leaders or aspirants, right? You just be one level below the C level, VP or a junior VP in a credit union or a community bank, right? So obviously there's a huge difference of opinion that happens, or difference of vision that happens at times between millennials and Gen Zs. I mean, I call myself a zillennial, like a crossover of Gen Z and millennial. I'm like 31, so like, between that range. So between people like us and the actual credit union leadership, what we talk about, right? There's a lot of, I would say, I wouldn't say difference of opinion that happens, but yeah, I mean, the way of leadership is different with us, I would say, right? What works for us might not work for everyone. We are a different generation altogether. So what about advising, people from our generation who are aspiring leaders in their 30s, or early 30s, late 20s, who aspire and become and want to become the next Elizabeth, to have her name in that American banker list, right? So what inspiration? All people are already inspired by you, but uh, you know for them, do you want to share any specific, I would say not stories, but any advices for my viewers, specifically for my women listeners, that how will they overcome obstacles if they face any? Still, there are multiple obstacles to reach a leadership position like yours.
Yes, absolutely. So it probably isn't the first time many of you have heard this, but it is so true that you got to raise your hand. So look for an opportunity. Realize that it may not be the right time. It may not be the opportunity for you, but at least you gave it a shot. So a good story I can tell, in which I am so glad I took that leap, was at Belmont Savings Bank. I was like a VP of strategic projects. Okay, so I worked really closely with technology, and at the time, the VP of technology gave his notice because he was moving to help out his mother. And so we opened up a requisition for a CIO position. And so my boss, Hal Tovin, who I learned a tremendous amount from, he asked me if I would help interview candidates for the CIO job. I'm like, okay, yeah, I was very honored to help with that, knowing also that I'd worked closely with this person. So as I'm interviewing people, I'm like, wait a second, this is kind of like what I do today. Why don't I apply for this? And so I scheduled time with my boss, and I'm like, hey, I had this aha moment as I'm asking questions and getting answers. I was like, wait a second, I already know the answer to this and how I would do it. And also maybe I might be a little bit like, I kind of might be a little more qualified in some areas. I think I should go for this. And so Hal at the time, he's like, Elizabeth, I was waiting for you to say this. And so he was so happy I applied, and I still went through the full interview process, went through the board and everything. Was very fortunate to get it. So luckily I had that aha moment, but I think it all goes back to having confidence in yourself in your ability to try new things, know that you're going to fail. It's okay. Failing and making mistakes is how you learn, so you don't do it again, right? Or you do it better next time. That is so important for any leader, regardless of your gender and how you associate yourself with it, right? So that is so important. Have that confidence. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to take opportunities, to be on a panel and a round table. Voice your opinion, right? Bring it up. The more you practice it, the more your confidence will go up. That practice helps you to become more accustomed to how to better answer a question. And so that has been really a driving force. The last part I would like to say with this is the first female manager and leader I worked for, her name's Marianne Snow. She and I are still very close. She is probably the smartest woman I know in the entire world. Marianne was a very, very smart boss to work for. She was also tough, right? So she had high expectations. And I was 23, I think, when I started working for her. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got to step it up to meet her expectations. So she taught me to do what I'm saying now, have the confidence, put yourself out there. But she also really gave me guidance in terms of how to speak in front of crowds, timing. She would have me practice over and over again because I was overseeing training for operations training, and really pushed me to get to that next level. And then she ended up leaving. That was when I was with Uno's, the restaurant company. She left. I was in the process of finishing my bachelor degree, because I took my time with that. I finished a bit later than a lot of my friends did, because I had a lot of changes in heart of what I wanted to do. And I was like, maybe before I spend all this money, I should really figure out what I want to do with my life. But she ended up leaving and going to State Street. And she was my in to get into State Street. And she was like, hey, I'm not hiring for this role, but you just finished your degree. This might be a really good career path. Just take a look. Let me know your thoughts. And I looked at the role. It's a role I would have never applied for because I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to. But it's because she supported me and guided me that I took that chance. And because of her, I entered the banking industry, financial services. Wow. So I could not give her enough credit. She's doing really cool stuff, like space stuff now. Look her up, Marianne Snow, incredible woman. I hope she listens to this because I could not admire her more.
You could always send this recording to her and drop a thank you note.
Oh yes, I will.
Absolutely. So this was refreshing, right? I mean, listening to this experience. Absolutely. Now, I know we're running short of time, so let me just ask some questions about a few initiatives, right? So obviously you have had diverse experience of starting restaurants. Come on, for God's sake, you did start restaurants. That's not easy, right? From starting restaurants to running a credit union. So what are the few successful initiatives that you're proud of, right? Be it at Great Lakes, before Great Lakes.
Yeah, I have two good examples. One is kind of goes back to your leadership style question. Was when that first week I started. I was interviewing and just spending time with all of my new direct reports. And I heard through my interviews, about this online banking conversion that was scheduled. And a lot of people were assigned to this project. They were trying to figure out their roles, scoping, et cetera, and they were having a hard time moving forward, right? And so they knew they had a hard deadline that they had to meet, and there was a lot of unease when I started speaking with the teams about it. And so some of the team came from this group called Business Process Improvement, which was kind of like these poor people. This was like the catch-all. Like everyone dumped work on them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a project. Let's just go figure it out." And so it was awful. And so I made a proposal to Steve to transform that department to a project management office. something I'd stood up in community banking, and I was like, this is, while we are a little bit smaller, we are $1 billion at the time. I truly believe, based on the plans we have, the future this credit union has, we will greatly benefit from the structure and formality of a project management office. And Steve, I'm very fortunate. He's very supportive of my recommendations, and he's like, Elizabeth, go for it. You make a plan, make it happen. And so the person that was new and reporting to me, Cassie Kraft, she was an analyst at the time, and just in 2 conversations with her, I was like, whoa, this woman has significant untapped potential. Why have we not given her opportunities here? So I made a proposal to her. I'm like, Cassie, I need you to listen to this, because this is going to be a jump, but I really believe you have the skills needed to run our new project management office. Will you be my manager of the PMO? And she was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And she's incredible. And so she now is a senior manager of the PMO. I continue to develop her for bigger roles. She has a tremendous career ahead of her. She's, early 30s. This has been her career so far. And so it's just been such a amazing just time viewing her growth. You would, if you saw her 3 years ago versus now, she's like a different person, because she developed that confidence. And yes. She now, has a great way, this finesse. She can build relationships with other departments. They trust her. She's learned so much. So I'm so proud of her. So that's one success story that continues to grow, and that PMO group is blossomed. They're truly enterprise-wide now. So that's, I talked to a lot of credit unions about how we did that, and so hoping to help them as well in their journey to have more structured change management processes. The other successful initiative I'd like to share is about Olive. So Olive is really our first leap. I would say we took a step into AI prior to this with chat, more like a chat bot. This is true Gen AI. So we introduced a virtual assistant. Her name is Olive. She's, Hi, Olive. No offense to anyone, but she's my most productive employee, because she works 24/7, like all the time. But she's incredible. And she's getting a lot smarter this year. So what she does is she sits at the carrier level, and anytime a member, we have about 85,000 members, anytime a member calls the credit union, Olive is the first person that they speak with. And Olive is connected to our core. She is loaded with a ton of great information, very on brand, and she's able to provide support to our members, much of which is transactional and informational. But that is one initiative that really just helped us leapfrog into a new level of support for our members. It may not be the version or the type of support every member likes, but we've seen an over 200% increase in self-service support through that channel since her launch in August, right? So very proud of that. Later this year, pretty soon actually, she's going to start speaking Spanish. We have a large Hispanic population. I also plan to introduce, she'll speak Polish, and there's 80 different languages she can speak. So that's been wildly successful. We're learning a lot from her and with that, and it's a great story to tell about the evolution of member support, automated self-service for members, and how AI is really driving our strategy for that.
So then, long story short, Elizabeth, what I understand, I need to ask Olive out for a date with me when I'm in Chicago to know about insider information about Great Lakes. I know what to do.
You know it.
I think she'll be happy with me because I also speak the language of data and AI.
Exactly.
Data scientist. So just imagine data scientist on a date with a generative AI chatbot. It sounds fascinating. Good. I'm geeking out right now. Okay, so a follow-up question, right? I've talked about Olive. So now I think my question which I had, right? How are you using AI and data science to develop a more cohesive experience better improve member experience as a whole across the board, right? So I think Olive is the answer to it, right? Do you want to add anything to it?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Olive is really the first step. She'll continue to grow and expand into other channels. This is through our partnership with Interface AI, has been fabulous. They work really closely with us. They're growing quickly, and I think they have a bright future ahead of them. So with that, it's really about how can we expand that solution further to provide that service in other channels. So I think about like our fraud detection, right? We have a partnership with Defense Storm. Defense Storm has an amazing platform for that. How can Olive partner with Defense Storm to better prevent fraud from occurring by using this centralized system to help better define alerts, right? So I think there's a great opportunity there. I would say also on the lending side, so providing automated credit decisioning beyond the credit score, there's a tremendous opportunity there to provide those that are also maybe underbanked and don't have much of a credit history, give them opportunity to build that history through lending, maybe based on like positive transaction histories or a variety of different factors on their bank accounts, right? So there's opportunity there. Internally this year, we're through our Power Automate, so a Microsoft product, looking at RPA and automation type solutions to streamline a lot of manual processes that we have today. We've done a really good job with that the past year and a half, but there's still a lot more we can do. So I think that will be very interesting to see where that takes us. But the sky's the limit. AI really complements. For myself, I use like Copilot, through Microsoft. It's fantastic. Wow. It helps me to just get to a final version of a memo faster. It helps to catch all my spelling and grammar errors, which I'm pretty good at spelling, but still, it catches a lot. I really see AI as a partner that aids us in becoming even stronger and moving faster so we can continue to offer the services to our members that they really need.
I mean, it's so refreshing talking to a CEO who was a CIO earlier and understands the value of data and AI. This is just refreshing. I think there are a lot of things to do about, be it even cross-sell, upsell, be it membership experience development, acquisition of more members. I mean, one of my favorite use cases of AI is like, how do you go and acquire more millennials and Gen Zs, right? For the lack of better word, right? How do you go and change your essential demographic base to the younger people? Because, I mean, the buying potential is huge there, and that's the future. And AI is definitely can be used there. Yeah, I mean, these are valid use cases with bunch of things that is happening across the credit union industry. I think it's worth a chat over a coffee sometime when I'm in Chicago. It's a broad topic to talk about. Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love to.
Yeah. Absolutely. In the interest of time, right, let me try wrapping up this podcast with one specific question. I want to ask you this question because you've been an active forefront runner of the movement, right? You work with America's Credit Union, you work with other different lobbying bodies, you support and most importantly believe in that movement. I mean, coming from a bank and supporting this credit union movement, that's what's special for me, right? Because it's exactly the same for me. I used to work with the top banks, and coming from the top banks to this credit union movement, understanding how incredible the movement is, right? Supporting it, helping it grow, that is what I appreciated. So looking at what you do, so what are your predictions, or how do you look at the current credit union ecosystem, right? And how is it poised to grow in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, so I think that today's economy, while it's greatly improved and it's very strong, it's still a challenge. And so we're finding, I had some great conversations with many credit union leaders a couple weeks ago. I was at the Q's CEO Institute.
Yes.
And so it's a 3-year program, fabulous program, by the way. And so we were talking about just this and the challenges that credit unions are facing, especially smaller. I'd say that 250 million and below is just, it is so hard. You're trying to do so much with very limited resources. And so you have a lot of people wearing a lot of hats. It's hard to retain them. You're not able to pay them like you may at a larger institution, whether that be a bank or a credit union. And so that with the rate environments and just the kind of unknown future as to when rates are going to start dropping is just financially putting a crunch on smaller CUs. And so I think you're going to continue to see consolidation in the industry, which is it is a disservice to some members. In some cases, it's very much a great service. We are in the middle of a merger because that particular credit union will be able to benefit from the services we offer. They're within our market. So we're able to expand it and provide even more to them. And so they're joining our team, and through that, the members will greatly benefit. But others are, especially more rural markets. I think that's going to be a challenge, because how do you survive if you can't find the right people to work there? And financially, it's becoming just even your numbers are even smaller. Your margins are smaller. So that worries me. And so that's where I think we, as credit union leaders, have to be very focused on efficiencies and really being more digital first. And so you'll find that some credit unions are that, right? Very progressive, very innovative, introducing technologies that help to streamline and improve the member experience so we can compete with the neobanks. That's really the younger generations where they're going. Look at Chime. I talk about Chime all the time because it's a great onboarding solution. They have a great onboarding solution, and I want that over here. So we're trying. And so I think is if those credit unions that don't focus on leveraging technology and digital services and channels to help really drive that, that they will be challenged. But I do think consolidation pretty soon is going to slow down a bit because it'll kind of just restabilize itself. So it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. I take the same example. It takes 3.5 minutes to go and open a checking account with Chime, right? I'm a customer of Chime, so I need that same experience in a credit union, and that's what we have to strive for. And I'm glad to know, Elizabeth, that you have that vision, and it's amazing, right? So more I talk to you, I feel more confident about the future of Great Lakes, as well as the movement itself, that we have strong leaders who are in the forefront, understand technology, understands innovation, trust in AI, genuinely cares for members, right? And it's not a transactional relationship, but it's more relationship driven. So combining AI with relationship is amazing. Great, Elizabeth. Thanks a lot again for being my guest. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It was quite the honor and great speaking with you.
Absolutely.